In 17th century AD, some traders of London incorporated East India Company and requested Queen Elizabeth I to be allowed to trade with Indian subcontinent. In later years, King Shah Jahan, Aurangzeb, Shah Alam, Subedar of Bengal, Shaista Khan, and King gave East India Company more trade incentives. The British traders misused lots of this kindness, and now these traders have openly transformed into invaders. The Mirs of Sindh didn't give any excuse to British to attack them, but they want to occupy whole of India. Without any excuse, they attacked on Sindh. Final battle takes place in 1843 at Miani. Sir Charles Napier is victorious. Sindh is also occupied by the British. Kashmir is also occupied, which they sell to Raja Gulab Singh in rupees 75 lakh. And except all the subcontinent is being occupied by British. All of the subcontinent is practically in their control. The atrocities of British incite a reaction and people emotions are suddenly provoked. 10th May 1857 in Meerut, the Muslim and Hindu soldiers of East India Company declare mutiny. The Muslims have been on the forefront of leading the War of Independence. Because of this reason, they have been main victim of merciless revenge of the British. Many cities are destroyed, many settlements uprooted, and dead bodies are seen hanging on the road junctions. There are very less instances of this kind of massacres and atrocities in the human history. The decline and end of Mughal Empire is a very dreadful lesson of history. After 1857, but the Hindus cooperate with British in every way. Government jobs and trade facilities are provided to them massively. Muslims decline in literacy, social and economic fields. They have disassociated themselves from the British in every matter. Their future seems dark and bleak. A leader appears who feels the pain of the nation and has foresight. Seeing the racism of Hindus, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan delivered effective speeches in the Council of Viceroy Lord Ripon in favor of separate electorate for Hindus and Muslims. His greatest achievement is the establishment of MAO College, which further progressed into Muslim University. That's how his struggle got a center. Tilhat created an organization for preservation of cow. And in the name of Hindu culture, he spit venom against Muslims in his newspaper. The English policy of divide and rule worked, and the hate against Muslims grew. Congress is dominated by Hindus, and Sir Syed knows the Hindu thinking very well. He advises Muslims to stay away from the Congress. And after British, now Hindus are dreaming to rule whole of India without any partners. This year, 1906, the Muslim leaders of India gather in this building of Dhaka, Bangladesh now, and an organization for rights of Muslims, All India Muslim League, is formed. Now we are in 1911. The Hindu majority of India is being organized on the basis of communalism. New motivated leaders of independence rise. Maulana Muhammad Ali and Maulana Shaukat Ali are imprisoned many times. Muhammad Ali's newspaper Comrade becomes a headache for the British. The Congress with Hindu majority has become the most powerful political force in India. And their leaders have realized that without the alliance of Muslims it's difficult for independence. In the forefront is Mr. Gokhale. In the same time, Mr. Gandhi also rises. With the efforts of young barrister Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the leaders of Congress and Muslim League gather in Lucknow in 1916, and Congress agrees on separate electorate issue. Khilafat and Swaraj movements are launched side by side. Muslim and Hindus fill the jails of British jointly. Khadi movement takes off very well. Among the movement members are Maulana Hasrat Mohani, Dr. Mukhtar Ahmed Ansari, and Hakim Ajmal Khan. All have joined. Qari Nazrul Islam's poetry in Bengal is raging fire. The movement was at its peak when, due to one incident of violence, Gandhi gets annoyed and declares it off. All the efforts goes to waste. The weak authority of British is again strengthened. Soon all the subcontinent is engulfed in communal riots, and the dream of Hindu-Muslim unity is shattered for all times. Mr. Jinnah again tries unsuccessfully for settlement with Hindus. Finally, he presents his famous 14 points that become the strategy for the Muslim League. In 1930 Muslim League convention at the Allahabad, Allama Iqbal for the first time expressed his opinion that a separate Muslim state is the only solution to the subcontinent problems. In the next year, in the Round Table Conference, both Gandhiji and Allama Iqbal are present. Iqbal talks about separate Muslim homeland in the subcontinent. But Congress is too arrogant about Hindu majority and is not ready to give Muslims their due rights. In 1932, Chaudhry Rahmat Ali coins the word of Pakistan. In 1934, Mr. Jinnah returns from London and dedicates his life to organization of Muslim League and to preserve the rights of Muslims In 1937, Muslim League first convention is held in Lucknow under the Quaid-e-Azam as president. In this conference, the Muslim League declares complete independence and becomes the biggest organization to represent Muslims. In this meeting, Sardar Aurangzeb, Nawabzada Liaquat Ali Khan, Abdul Rauf of Siddi, Mirza Abu Hassan Isfahani and Haji Sattar Seth, Qazi Khwaja Nazimuddin, Nawab Ismail Khan, Sardar Bahadur Yar Jang, Ayam Raja Sahib Mahmudabad, and all other new and old forces that later played an important part in Pakistan movement were there. Muslims, in order to preserve their religion and culture, become part of Muslim League workers in large numbers. In order to support Muslim League, a student union is also formed. This is the result of efforts of M.A. Jinnah. The people name him as Quaid-e-Azam, great leader. Now it's 1940 and we take you to Lahore, where the historic meeting of Muslim League is under progress, where the resolution of Pakistan was presented. Quaid-e-Azam says in his presidential address that Muslims and Hindus could not become one despite living with each other for 1200 years. Muslims and Hindus are two separate nations in every way. Muslim and Hindus. On 23rd March, the resolution for Pakistan is tabled by Lion of Bengal Fazle Haq, and Chaudhry Khaliqur Zaman supports it. 100,000 representatives of Muslims present there approve it, and this was the only way Muslims to avoid an encirclement by Hindus. And for next 7 years, call for Pakistan comes from every corner of the subcontinent. Quaid-e-Azam embarks upon stormy visit of the subcontinent, and the Muslims of the subcontinent are ready to give any sacrifice for it. And Muslim women are also not far behind in this struggle. The notable among them are Begum Liaquat Ali Khan, Begum Abdullah Haroon, Begum Hidayatullah, Begum Shamsun Nahar Mahmud, and Begum Shaista Ikramullah. Quaid-e-Azam has become the great symbol of this historic struggle, but Muslims have yet to pass many milestones. They are confident of their physical numbers and see India only as their property. This is September 1944. A reasonable Hindu, Raj Gopal Vichari, has supported the Muslim right of self-determination. On this, the talks start. Gandhiji is insistent on united India, and Quaid-e-Azam is steadfast on demand for Pakistan. It's clear that path of Hindus and Muslims are now separate. Viceroy invites the leaders to a summit in Shimla. Pandit Nehru is there to present the Congress case. Master Tara Singh is the representative of Sikhs. And Quaid-e-Azam has come with the promise that he will not compromise on the demand for Pakistan. There is no result of talks between Lord Wavell and these leaders. But British government immediately requires some solution to the Indian future. Therefore, Wavell announces general elections, and League leaders come out to convince Muslims for demand of Pakistan. Chaudhry Khaliquzzama and Nawab Ismail Khan are among them. Chandigarh and Yusuf Harun, Sardar Aurangzeb, Sardar Nishtar, and all the rest of the League leaders. Congress for United India and League for Pakistan try very hard for election success, and Muslims give their verdict in support of Pakistan. All Muslim seats of Central Assembly have been won by the Muslim League. Elections have proved that Pakistan is the joint demand of all Muslims of India. Now it's time for public disobedience action against the British. On 16 August 1946, Muslims took out rallies all across India and give back the titles awarded by the British. To improve the conditions, British government invites leaders for talks in London. Viceroy and other leaders reach London. Muslims in London warmly welcome Qaid there.
I am on my mission and I can tell you nothing about the present. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Quaid-e-Azam and Allama Iqbal reached the residence of British Prime Minister. After lengthy meeting with British PM says that Muslim League has rightly understood the meaning of mission.
I am very happy that I am at this function, and already I've had the opportunity of meeting some friends, and I might yet find more friends, but you give me no time to do anything else.
Congress initially accepts the British PM decision but then changes its stance. The struggle for Pakistan gets very strong in the whole of subcontinent. In the start of 1947, Muslim League launches civil disobedience movement against Unionist cabinet in Punjab and Congress coordinate NWFP that have been imposed on Muslims. People in Lahore, Peshawar and other areas have come out to demonstrate in disregard to their lives. These demonstrations shake the foundations of Punjab and NWFP cabinets. And the unionist politicians that operated from their drawing rooms had to present their resignations soon. Now Sikhs have also come out against the struggle of Pakistan. The British PM announcement that they will leave India to one or two governments has infuriated the Hindus and Sikhs. This results in shocking communal violence in the whole of subcontinent. The rage of rioters has shattered the centuries-old neighborhoodship and humane relationships. The blood of human has become cheaper than water. It is surprising that some people think that Hindus and Muslims can live like a single nation. In March 1947, Lord Mountbatten reaches India as a viceroy. After talking with Congress and League leaders, he presented the same solution that Jinnah was pushing for so long, meaning the division of the subcontinent. Quaid-e-Azam wants the division of India that Muslim League had demanded in 1946. But Congress fights for inch by inch land, and the bias of the British and the urgency of time benefits the Hindus. Mountbatten announces his plan on 3rd June 1947. Punjab and Bengal provinces to be divided on the basis of Muslim and Hindu majority, and Sylhet and North West Frontier province decision on the basis of plebiscite.
We must remember that we have to take momentous decisions. and handle grave issues facing us in the solution of the complex political problem of this great subcontinent inhabited by 400 million people. The world has no parallel for the most onerous and difficult task which we have performed. I pray to God that this critical moment He may guide us and enable us to discharge our responsibility in a wise and statesmanlike manner.
According to the Mountbatten Plan of Plebiscite in Sylhet and NWFP, the decision of people is in favor of Pakistan. Pakistan expected capital city starts preparation for taking new responsibilities. Finally, on 14 August 1947, Muslims reaped the crop of their struggle.